Good morning and thank you for joining us here at 5:30 on Good Morning Providence. I'm Cara Bailey. After nearly a week, the manhunt for the Brown University mass shooter is now over. The suspect in Saturday's shooting was identified Thursday as 48-year-old Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. Neves Valente is believed to also have shot and killed MIT professor Nuno F.G. Loureiro in his Brookline home Monday night. Officers finally caught up with Neves Valente and found him dead in a storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire. Thursday afternoon, Providence officials announced a connection between Saturday's mass shooting and the Tuesday murder of Professor Loureiro. Later in the evening, police announced Neves Valente's identity and they announced a warrant for his arrest. Speaking at a press conference regarding Loureiro's murder, Leah Foley, the United States Attorney for Massachusetts, gave reporters a clearer timeline of Neves Valente's last couple of weeks.
On December 1st, he rented a gray Nissan Sentra with Florida plates from a car rental agency in Boston. That same day, he drove to the vicinity of Brown University, where his car was observed intermittently between December 1st and December 12th. On December 13th, Neves Valente entered an auditorium on Brown University's campus during a study session and began shooting at students, killing Ella Cook and Mohammed Aziz Umarzokov, and injuring 9 others. Between December 13th and December 14th, Neves Valente returned to Massachusetts. On December 15th, he murdered MIT professor Nuno Loureiro at Loureiro's home in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Now, after leaving Massachusetts, Neves Valente drove to a storage locker in Salem that he had been renting since November. Members of the Providence Police Department traveled those 80 miles to Salem to execute the warrant, which is where it's believed Neves Valente took his life. His body was found next to guns. Now, according to Providence Police Chief Oscar Perez, authorities tie the two crime scenes together after the car that Neves Valente was allegedly driving was identified in an online tip.
Correct. Yeah, it was part of the tip that was posted actually, and then also the tipster had called and had stated that this individual had a fob and was trying to enter a vehicle that was parked on Benevolent. And so because of that, we obviously knew there was a vehicle and there was a description of a vehicle. When we brought him in, he collaborated further on that vehicle. We put it out through Flock, the description of it, and we learned that within that time period, there was only a certain amount of vehicles that came up with those description fitting it. So our detectives obviously stayed on that and ended up finding this vehicle with Florida plates, and that's how we ended up with that specific vehicle.
Neves Valente is originally from Portugal, but his last legal address was in Florida. Investigators found while living in Portugal, Neves Valente attended the same academic program as MIT professor Loureiro did between 1995 and 2000. Despite being born in Europe, officials confirm Neves Valente lived in America legally.
As far as we know, he had a student visa. He had came in here with a student visa, and we also had learned that he had applied to get a green card.
Do we know, sorry, for President Paxson, does Brown have
and Patrick, if I could just be clear on that, he got that lawful permanent resident status in September of 2017.
Now, as Brown University president Christina Paxson confirms, Neves Valente did attend the college at the university more than 20 years ago.
Based on our review in the very short time since law enforcement authorities made us aware of this development. And we provided this information to law enforcement as they build their case and wrap up the investigation. So Claudio Manuel Neves Valente was enrolled at Brown from the fall of 2000 to the spring of 2001. He was admitted to Brown's graduate school to study in the Master's of Science PhD program in physics, beginning on September 1st, 2000. And he took a leave of absence effective April 2001 before formally withdrawing effective July 31st, 2003. During his time at Brown, Neves Valente was enrolled only in physics classes. The majority of physics classes at Brown have always been held within the Barris and Hawley classrooms and labs.
Barris and Hawley is where Saturday's shooting took place. Still, despite the development in the investigation, officials are not letting up on this case.
There are many questions that need to be answered. There's a lot of evidence that needs to be processed, and most importantly, The victims and their families deserve special care and consideration. The FBI and our partners across Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire will continue to search for answers for the victims, survivors, and their families, to see what motivated this individual to carry out such a senseless act of violence.
Now, as the investigation turns from a manhunt into a search for a motive, state and local officials are breathing a sigh of relief now that the threat to the public is considered over. At the end of last night's press conference, Providence Mayor Brett Smiley gave an update on the hospitalized students recovering from the shooting.
I'm happy to say that one condition was upgraded and now all 6 survivors are in stable condition. It is important to not lose fact of the fact that 6 people are still in the hospital who I know would welcome our prayers. This has been a traumatic moment for our community. I hope that today's announcement starts the healing process and provides some closure for that. As the governor, I think, very eloquently stated, lots of people are going to leave town today, but the rest of us will all still be here, and we're going to have a long road ahead. And I know that what we do best as Rhode Islanders is support one another. I know this community will support one another to move forward after the worst act of violence that any of us can remember.
Additionally, we are starting to receive statements from our state leaders on the end of this manhunt, with Governor Dan McKee sending in a statement commending law enforcement and saying in part, quote, "In this difficult moment, we saw heartbreaking tragedy, but we also saw Rhode Island come together, and together will be the way forward." We have more reaction from the Brown University shooting investigation, but first, let's get a check on our forecast. Here's meteorologist Christina Shalhoub.
And we are in weather alert today. This storm that's going to cause a lot of problems across southern New England is moving into the area now. We've already seen a little bit of rain, but something to keep in mind as we move throughout the day is it's not just the rain, it's the wind as well. And I want to mention we have high wind warnings now, have been upgraded to high wind warnings all across the coastline. Bristol County, the entirety of the areas, and at both Bristol County, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, I should add, parts of South County, Kent County, even parts of Providence County as well. You can already see the rain here on satellite and radar. Again, we've had some, but it's been pretty minimal thus far. A few areas of showers and some pockets of heavy rain coming down. You can actually see those totals here. Most of us less than 1/10 of an inch, but that will change dramatically as we move through the afternoon, as will the winds. Now, the worst of the winds and the rain will time up together late this morning, early this afternoon. You can see our wind speeds right now largely in the teens, but I expect wind speeds to get into the 20s and 30s, and gusts could get into the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, some even up towards 60 miles per hour. If there's any good news here today, it's that at least it's mild outside. You can get outside without wearing too many layers, but please be careful as you hit the road and leave some extra time.
Christina, thank you so much. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the roads right now in your ABC6 traffic update, 5:38 on the clock. As you make your way out the door on this Friday before Christmas, guys. Can you believe we are here already? Thurber's looking good this morning as we look ahead to the weekend. Let's take a look and see what's happening in those travel times that we like to see. 10 minutes on the northbound 114 between White Church and 195. Also 10 minutes on the northbound 95 between Route 4 and Thurber's Avenue. 7 minutes on the northbound 1 between Kingstown Road and the Route 4 split. Let's get you back to our breaking news this morning. Brown University President Christina Paxson has released a letter to the Brown University community now that the manhunt for the suspect is over. President Paxson again thanked all law enforcement agencies for their work tracking down Nieves Valente and noted that, quote, "Our community has the opportunity to move forward and begin a path of repair, recovery, and healing." Paxson also spoke out against the harmful and dangerous online targeting of Brown community members and called for an end to doxing activities and misinformation the university has had to deal with throughout the investigation. And with news of the Brown University shooter's nationality breaking, the Department of Homeland Security has announced a pause in the diversity visa lottery program for immigrants. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem ordered it after Claudio Valente was found dead. Valente entered the U.S. through the diversity lottery visa program from Portugal in 2017 and was granted a green card. Now, that program is meant to encourage immigration from countries that have low rates of it. Noem says President Donald Trump directed her to pause that program. She called it, quote, "disastrous." In other news this morning at 5:40, Brian Walsh has been sentenced to life in prison without parole for killing his wife nearly 3 years ago. The judge also ordered Walsh to serve consecutive prison terms for 2 other convictions he pleaded guilty to before the trial, which include dismembering his wife and lying to the police about it. Those sentences carry minimums of 3 and 19 years behind bars, respectively. A jury convicted Walsh on Monday of first-degree murder. Before he was sentenced, Anna Walsh's sister made an impact statement to the court about how her sister's death affected her family.
The most painful part of this loss is knowing her children must now grow up without their mother's hand to hold. They now face a lifetime of milestones, big and small, where her absence will be deeply and painfully felt. Because of the circumstances of my sister's death, we were denied the opportunity to say a final goodbye and to observe our customs, adding a layer of profound, unfinished grief to our loss.
Anna Walsh's body still has not been found. Prosecutors said Walsh dismembered and disposed of her remains in dumpsters near their home. Your current time is 5:41 this morning. Cranston Democratic Committee Chair Maria Bucci is now facing DUI charges. According to East Greenwich Police, officers stopped Bucci just after midnight Thursday after seeing her swerving between lanes on Division Street. Officers say they could smell the alcohol in her car and Bucci was slurring her words. After starting a sobriety test, police say Bucci started arguing and insulting the officers. According to the arrest report, she refused to take a breathalyzer test at the station. Bucci is due in court, though, next month. Your current time, 5:42. Still to come on Good Morning Providence for you. There's been a vote regarding the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts name as President Trump talks about his name being added. We'll take a look into that controversial push. And it's been a weird year for the Billboard pop charts. When we come back, the newest change the chart maker has announced coming up.